Welcome to the EGL podcast. Yes, that's right. It's that time again. It's EGL Stopwatch. Here we are. I'm Mike Bebenik at SmellyMoss on the Twitter, and of course, I'm joined by the ever mesmerizing, the handsome one, Josh Nino, known as Loco on Twitter. So give us a follow. If you're watching us here on Twitter or on Twitch tonight, and you do follow us on Twitter, then use the hashtag EGL to keep track of the conversation. You can also find us, of course, on YouTube at EGL Pro and on Facebook at European Gaming League. So, of course, Stopwatch, we're going to try this format again. We did it in week 1. It's simple. All we do is have 4 minutes per topic, and then once that 4 minutes ends, we move on to the next one. Josh, how are you tonight?
I'm good, mate. Thank you. That was a glorious introduction. Your enthusiasm, as ever, is unmatched.
Fantastic. We're just going to make sure that everyone at home can hear us. I saw Rizla, top comment right at the start. Delayed just like the events. I don't think the events are actually delayed, Josh. I think
Not anymore. We got over
the
that
stream occasionally doesn't get up and running right away. But
Chris Marsh has had 9 events now to avoid delays. So, yeah, I think we're well past that.
And Mimo asking, where is Mello? Mello is he's been taken away by the Halo community tonight.
He had a run, and obviously he's too tired following his run, so he's just on his bed now. And he generally is on the Halo podcast tonight, so he's not with us.
He is not. We're gonna get to topic number 1 right now. It says the what it's going to be right in the corner there. It's game at Mad Catz lock-in. So, Josh, you're the one who's been kind of the go-to guy for this. So I'll let you kind of let everyone at home know the details.
Yeah, so basically at EGL, in partnership with Game, EA Sports and Mad Catz this month, we're going to be hosting a series of FIFA lock-ins across, actually, I think it's over 22 different stores across the UK in-game. And basically what you're going to be able to do, you can go to these stores. The stores can be found on the Game Events website. And when you go to your stores, you can call up or you can go in and register to compete as part of these in-store competitions. The people who win will qualify for a grand final event, which will be hosted by EGL with the same partners, EA Sports, Mad Catz and Game, at a venue which is yet to be announced. It's actually looking between either London and Manchester at the minute. There's going to be some great prizes provided by all the partners involved. And it's going to be streamed, and there's going to be a couple of your favourite YouTubers and FIFA profile players around there to make the event, something pretty spectacular. So make sure you guys check out the Game Events webpage. There's going to be an announcement from EGL and our part as well to tell you more detail what it's all about.
And of course, part of that announcement too, you said, we're going to have some people going. KSI is going to be there, so hopefully you'll be able to get him to commentate like he did at EGL 9, which was amazing.
Well, he's a big fan favourite, obviously, KSI right now. I'm using he's my feed for the current Arsenal vs Wigan game, KSI. I love his tweets, full of charisma. But he's definitely going to be there hopefully going to be there for the finals, commentating and also kind of like a play to pro kind of thing. So be sure to check that out.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. And if you're in the chat right now, the lovely Razor McBride, one of our lovely staff members here at EGL, has made a link there to the Game website, which gives you all the details in the stores. If you're in and around London, Josh and I will be running some of those events along with Mello. Then we also have Glenn, the ever popular Glenjamin, aka
Chubs.
What's his alias?
Cool shot.
Cool shot.
The biggest irony.
Oh, that's funny. Cool shot. Oh, God. Glenn.
It's kind of slimy, isn't it? It's kind of fitting, Glenn.
Yes. What a weirdo. Is Dan going to be doing any?
Well, all of us are going to be involved, I think, to some extent. So you're going to see, and not just Dan, you're going to see Nick Mitchell as well, the jack of all trades of EGL. He's going to be there helping us out in Nottingham. I think we were going to ask Razor Alex to do something. He's in the chat there now, but I think he couldn't in the end because he's been too lazy. But he was possibly going to do the Newcastle one. Tomorrow, me and Chris will be at Ealing. And then one store to point out is the Stratford one, which is going to be on May 26th. And Mike, you'll be there yourself, filming, editing, and creating some nice content and media to go up on the Game and EGL website. So everyone, when you go to Stratford, make sure you look pretty and make sure you're on your form to beat the pro when you're there.
If I'm gonna give you a quick rundown of the. I'm not sure of dates, but the shops we're gonna be into. There's only 22 of them, so I'll go through them really quickly. Ealing, Leeds, Ilford, Reading, Norwich, Newcastle, Bristol, Bournemouth, Sheffield, Bluewater, the pretty large shopping center, Stratford, which of course is the shop where we did the Halo 4 launch back at the end of last year, Edinburgh, Cardiff, Southampton, Nottingham, Lewisham, Manchester, Arndale, Belfast. We're going to be heading up or heading over the water. Who's doing that one?
Well, we're not actually doing that one. We're doing most of them. We're doing 15 of them. But
You lie!
no one in Belfast. Those are just the name of all the stores, but Belfast we won't. But unfortunately, we don't have any Irish EGL staff as of late. But
well, maybe we should change that.
Maybe we should.
And then the last final three is Thurrock, the Bullring, of course, in the center of Birmingham, and Croydon. So lots of London area stores there, but we're also spreading out across the country. So if you're up north, if you're down south, and you play FIFA 13, then there's tons of activity here with the game lock-ins. And of course, as Josh mentioned, it's with Mad Catz and EA Sports. They're putting up some great prizes for the actual nights. And then we're also going to have a pretty awesome prize fund, which we're still trying to kind of finalize for the grand final, where 24 players will meet head-to-head, and we'll see who is the Mad Catz Game FIFA champion. So we're going to move on to topic number 2, because we've just hit the 4-minute mark. And but first, guess what? We're going to take a break. So when we come back, we will be discussing our next topic. What that is, well, you're going to have to wait till after the break to find out. See you soon. Sorry about that. There was some technical difficulties there, because I didn't set it up right.
I wish you could do outtakes, Mike. I really could.
Yeah, it would be pretty funny.
Outtakes.
I've got the support of Zach Tallis, aka Riddles, next to me. He's just been kind of pumping me along. Just there he is. There he is.
Take him out what you will.
Everyone's favorite Black Ops player. I don't know if he's everyone's favorite, but he's my favorite. All right, so we're going to move on to topic number 2. It's going to be EGL MCM London Comic Con. I'll announce this one, actually, Joshua, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course. I saw about the Arms House. Is the towering man of James Bardolph going to be there, I hope?
Well, he's in the chat right now. I think
Arms House, right? Yeah, he is.
Well, we are going to be working in collaboration with Mr. Bardolph. And we're going to be putting on the Razor Fighting Championships. It's going to take place the last weekend of May, which is, funnily enough, supposed to be the weekend where we're going to have EGL 10. But, of course, that's not happening. What we are doing is the Razor Fighting Championships. It's going to be Street Fighter 4, or Super Street Fighter 4, on the Saturday. And on the Sunday, we're going to be doing Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So there's going to be £1,000 available in prize money, courtesy of Razor. And but that's not all. The grand prize, as part of this, is a trip to the Caribbean, to Saint Martin, the Dutch colony. I guess it's part of the Netherlands technically, and you can get to compete in a massive tournament over there with $28,000 worth of prize money up for grabs. So that's an all expenses paid trip to Saint Martin. $28,000 up across those 2 titles. So hopefully we'll get two different qualifiers from the Razor Fighting Championships. Now, detail-wise, if you want to get involved, it's actually free to anyone who's at MCM. So all you need to do is buy your tickets online, visit mcmcomiccon.com, and you can buy your tickets there. And with entry, you get access to enter these tournaments. So, Josh, what are your thoughts on that?
I was just going to comment about the fighting community and that subject. They're such a unique community. I really like them in the fact that they're very much a family of a community. they almost keep to themselves. There's no trouble really when they're at events. You know what to expect from them, but also really professional as well. And some of the people leading their scene, like James Bardolph, they're a credit to esports. So they're so professional, very easy to work with. And it's no wonder that the fighting genre of esports, has been going along and growing so steadily and so consistently for so long.
No, it's amazing, and the single player games. I mean, we're making 2 announcements which involve single player games tonight, with the FIFA 13 lock-ins with Game, Mad Catz, and EA Sports, and then now we're announcing this Razer event. So we're seeing a lot of push by sponsors in particular towards single player titles. Of course, FIFA makes a lot of sense. In the UK, it's a huge game. It outsells everything by far. There's pretty much, if you meet a guy who's between the ages of like probably 12 and 30, and he's got an Xbox or a PS3, the chances are he probably owns FIFA.
Yeah.
So I think that you're seeing that kind of attack by sponsorship to go after that kind of market, and it's great that EGL get to be involved in that. But then on the other side of it, you've got a game like Street Fighter, which has been around for a long time. You've got a very tight-knit, unique community with the fighting community. You've got a lot of the same guys who win events, but for whatever reason, people are there's a certain type of person who's really attracted to the fighting game genre, and the people who are into it are just so passionate. So you get really good attendance at events, as long as they're held in kind of a city center or somewhere that's very easy to access, like London. We saw a great EGL4 at Emirates. We saw a really good turnout there with Arms House. And then, of course, Manchester at EGL8, we had another great tournament, again, hosted by Arms House at an EGL event. So it's great to see Arms House kind of reaching out and, providing the community with these events. They travel all across Europe putting these on. And then it's nice for EGL to be able to be part of that success with the community and be able to offer, them a home ultimately.
Yeah, you can really see why partners, get so interested in the 1v1 game kind of games. Though, it allows you to focus, or allows them to focus so much more on the individual personas and the individual characters. All these players who make the scene what it is. It's all good and well having the teams, the professional teams in Call of Duty and Halo that we see, but it's difficult sometimes to focus on the individuals, which is something I really like about the fighting community and for the fighting genre and the nature of the game, obviously, and being a 1v1.
And of course, the reason that Razer are supporting this event is they're releasing a fighting stick. It's been in beta for quite a while. I believe they announced it early last year, so the community's been waiting quite a while. It looks sick. I'm not gonna lie and say that I know about fighting sticks or anything, but it'll be interesting to see how the community receives it. From what I've read, I've actually read quite a bit about it via the beta websites and some of the fighting sites, and it seems like it's going to be well received. They like the design. They like Razer products already. So, and Razer are renowned.
It's a cool brand. It's one of the coolest esports brands, well, gaming brands around, I think, to be honest.
Well, they're renowned for offering gamers by gamers for gamers. But I used to have a Razer keyboard and mouse, which was actually stolen from me, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, and it was sick. And the thing about it was that I didn't end up using it a lot for gaming. I used it a lot for work. They're just really slick products. So Razer, it's nice to see them getting involved with the fighting community and offering, kind of expanding what they can offer from a peripheral point of view. Another thing about Razer is obviously the customer service. We recently saw them get hosed, absolutely fleeced by these 90% discounts that were somehow in the back end of their website. This code got out, which allowed a lot of people to be able to buy Razer products for a huge discount. And guaranteed that unless it was like a Tesco or a Sainsbury's or one of those really large scale retailers who can afford to do kind of product hits and misses and kind of have loss leaders and so on, where one product is brought in at a loss just because it brings people into the door. Razer obviously is the exact opposite of that. It's a smaller company. They're really dedicated to esports. We've seen them sponsor all kinds of PC gaming tournaments over the last kind of 5 or 6 years, really since their existence began. And now we're seeing them, of course, enter kind of the Xbox and console territory, which is amazing. We obviously saw that with the Onza with the Xbox 360 controller 2 years ago. And then we saw this whole 90% fiasco happen. And what most kind of small retailers would say, legally, we don't have to, we're not obligated to give you this discount. Unfortunately, we can't do it. We'll maybe give you another discount, something maybe 10, 15%, but not this 90 that you guys are talking about. But Razer didn't do that. Razer came out, they made an announcement, they said, you know what? This shouldn't have happened. It wasn't any of our core team. This was left in there by accident or maliciously, and we're still going to honor this. So a lot of people got some amazing product for a very discounted price.
Fantastic service by Razer. Just shows what kind of company we are. I'm surprised we did it, actually, to be honest. I didn't actually realize they'd committed to providing that offer.
No, yeah, it's amazing. And they got a huge Reddit response. Like, Reddit now from... the gaming side of Reddit's not always so good. Like, there's a lot of kind of shit that's on there, and it gets inundated with really... Like, a lot of the stuff that becomes very popular on Reddit isn't really that great. You don't see a lot of, like, the big news. You don't see a lot... Or not. You see the big news, but you don't see a lot of the good perspective of the big news that gets released and so on.
Yeah.
But, Razer really used Reddit well there. So... good on them, really. That's way over 4 minutes. I don't have a stopwatch in front of me. Maybe I should change that because that was a long time. Okay, we're going to move on to our next topic, which is going to be the return of Reflex and, of course, ESWC announcing that they're going to be supporting Black Ops 2 at their event at the end of October. Josh.
So Reflex are going to be returning on the 28th to 30th of June in Amsterdam. Following their successful but not without issue, it's their event, I can't remember what month it was previously this year, where they hosted Black Ops 2, Halo, I'm not sure they hosted anything else there. A bigger venue than what we're used to seeing from their previous Reflex events on years gone by. But despite a few hiccups and a few delays, they got through with it. They're now just committing purely to Black Ops 2, which I think is a wise decision, to be honest, because it allows to fully gauge what they can do at this new venue. And I'm sure in future, once they to get over a couple of the team problems, they can then go and expand further. But it's great to see Sander and his team back in the scene. Credit to them; they're a major force in the European competitive gaming event. It's great to have them around. Lovely people to work with. We work with them in different avenues. And we have them for a couple of years. Well, for the past year now. So it's it's good to see them back. And it's a shame I won't be able to make it to that event, but I'm sure a lot of the Dassault team will be out there covering some mainland Call of Duty action.
The interesting thing about Reflex, and everyone kind of brings this up, it's part of the whole cycle of esports and competitive gaming is that there's all these topics and every community goes through it. Halo just went through it where they've kind of had like, how do we make our game bigger? Let's do this, that, and this. And that same conversation happens, once a year, if not every 6 months, for every title, right? So with Reflex and EGL, obviously, we've got a relationship there, which is solid. And if you were to look towards what I think and how companies should work together, that would probably be a start. We have open ends with them. Mello, yourself, lots of people talk to the organizers at Reflex in order to make sure the dates don't clash. And obviously, from a Dassault point of view, you guys do coverage with that. But that's the way it should work. But unfortunately, it doesn't. And I'm going to put it out there that we're not the bad people. We're willing to work with everyone. So
yeah, well, 100%. And evidence of what we do with DreamHack and evidence of what we do with Reflex. That's it just shows how willing we are to work with other companies, other event organizers across Europe. We love developing relationships. We're all about the community. If Reflex is growing their Call of Duty audience, it means that we can grow our audience too. At the end of the day,
it's Old Man Marsh walking through the background there.
What was doing his podcast? I like the way he's wearing a professional top half, but he's wearing jogging bottoms on his bottom half. So on the podcast, he looks like he's a corporate, living up to his corporate reputation.
What a fraud! So that's really kind of that's Reflex in a nutshell. Good relationship there. Great to see him putting on another event because for a while there at the kind of end of last year, it didn't look like it was going to happen. Boom, they're back and forth. They're scaling it down, Black Ops 2 only, but it's going to be awesome. You're going to get, Amsterdam, really good city for the youth. and
Absolutely.
it's got, obviously it's really good transport links for kind of all of Europe. So hopefully we'll see a lot of the UK teams there. You'll definitely see some French, Netherlands, some Scandinavian / Nordic teams up there. What would be really nice is to see some of the Z Germans head over there, because obviously they do have a big community there. They don't like the rule sets that kind of the Deserto community use and EGL uses, but that really shouldn't be, if they want to get involved in LANs, then I think they're going to have to bite the bullet. So hopefully we'll see some German teams from the Black Ops 2 community head over to Amsterdam.
Absolutely. The German community actually Killer Fish. Shout out to them for their performance at the Call of Duty Championships in LA. They did really well, but they didn't get in the money, I don't think. But it completely surprised everyone over beyond expectations of regarding how they were perceived they were going to perform. So hopefully they'll go to replays, and other events, and prove that the German community, is now a considerable force in the game.
If you want to get involved in the conversation, go on Twitter, write to us. If you have any questions, we're going to do a Q&A at the end. It's hashtag EGL, and of course all the other social media links are up there for YouTube and Facebook. Subscribe. That would be very, very nice. Now let's move on to ESWC. Now, ESWC have been around for a long, long time. They've been a huge, huge force when it comes to the PC community. Their events are held in France. They get a lot of really big media coverage from a kind of the classic media, the newspapers, and the BBC covered Dignitas, I believe, last year when they attended ESWC. And it's a big StarCraft tournament, Dota 2, FIFA obviously there. There's some fighting titles. They've always been really big in supporting Counter-Strike, though. And now we saw them move over to Global Offensive for the 2012 finals. Now we're seeing them move into Black Ops 2. So now they're heading into console. What are your thoughts on that, Josh?
Well, it's another organization entering, the fray of Call of Duty. I think their event is taking place. It's qualifiers from June to October, with the event running from the 30th of October to the 3rd of November. All I've got to say on this is that, Call of Duty teams, you got to schedule yourselves now. There's a lot going on this year. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of content and what kind of event that ESWC pull off. I'm very excited to see. I'm probably going to be heading out there myself to see it firsthand. So, another event can never be a bad thing.
The interesting thing about the number of events that are happening for Black Ops 2 compared to Halo, I remember when XL was still around, and that was really the only kind of big European LAN event. You didn't really get too many foreign teams coming over, but they came. But it was, they were the biggest events you could really attend outside of MLG.
Yeah.
And Call of Duty was struggling. You kind of had Rainbow Six, you had SOCOM communities kind of trying to figure out what they were going to do. The Call of Duty community trying to figure out what they were going to do. And eventually, kind of all these forces combined to create the beast that is Call of Duty now. We saw it with Modern Warfare 2. It just exploded. Now we're into Black Ops 2. And, yeah, it's just huge. So, for the Halo guys at home, you got to relax, because it's not up to you guys. It's the game. The game is what determines the following. So you cannot force anything. You look at what's happening with Gears of War and Judgment. They're waiting on a patch right now. If it doesn't come, that community might die. And it's terrible to see, but it's not the community's fault. They can only do so much. Top Mid, they do a good job. Halo Forum did a great job before them of promoting the game, and considering the resources that all of us have, EGL included, which is basically people and time and kind of the ability to use, to stream, to do graphics, to post eloquently on forums, and to write content and create content. That's all we can do unless you start to get your name out there and meet people, outside of gaming, be it sponsorship, be it non-gamers. Like one of the biggest problems I find with gaming and the actual players themselves is you go on Facebook. I'm Facebook friends with anyone who asks. The people who are willing to kind of show that they're, there's people who are willing to show that they game and competitive game on Facebook. The majority do not. They don't want anyone to know, and that's the travesty. That's what really affects this. Is that there's a lot of people out there who they probably have they're probably fairly influential with their friends, and if they were to come out and say, you know what, I play Black Ops 2 or I play Halo competitively. I used to maybe win money at it, or maybe I don't win money. I just have a lot of really cool friends from it. People aren't going to knock you for it. People,
exactly. That's a very good point. I think more people are scared of what they might say than what will actually be said. You speak to anyone, or in my experience, speaking to anyone, in regards to any aspects of what I've done in esports, and the first thing they say is, wow, you're living the dream. Tell me more. Because competitive gaming, it's so unique. Who doesn't want to be involved in playing or watching or working in this industry? It's thriving. Call of Duty is the biggest media franchise thing of all time. It's bigger than any film, any book, any series. Everyone who sees this booming industry, they're going to want to be a part of it. So take pride in what you do. At the end of the day, no matter what you do in esports, it's something special, and it's cool. Of course, it's cool. Everyone's playing Call of Duty. Most people you see in the street will know what Call of Duty is. When they go home, they'll play a Call of Duty as well. They'll just play it to a lesser extent and not be as good. So essentially, all you're doing, you're better than them. You're playing. You're more skilled than them. So I don't understand where the issue in that is, and if it's down to your social group or whatever, I'm not going to try to tell you. None of us are going to tell you how to live your lives, but there's ways you can introduce them to it. Perhaps you might introduce them to the scene. They might want to get involved. I would not. And when it comes to telling girls about video games as well, honestly, I don't think girls care or know enough about video games to judge you on that basis.
That's pretty much it. They don't have the knowledge to be able to judge you. One of when I first met my wife. I was playing Gears of War and Halo a lot. I was pretty addicted to Gears of War, to be fair. Gears of War 1. And
the greatest.
Yeah, I was courting her and stuff, and it was when I was working for X League, actually. So she knew I did this kind of stuff for my actual job, where now I do it as a side thing. So obviously that's grown a lot with her. But when she was like, oh, yeah, it's pretty nerdy that you are involved in things like XL and X League. But she married me in the end, but she was kind of funny about it. And then she was saying, she's like, oh, my brother plays a game a lot. And I'm like, oh, what game? And she's like Starfest? And I was like, StarCraft? What? This is StarCraft 1.
Starfest.
This is 8 years ago, 7 years ago. And I was like, oh my God. And then she's like, what's WoW? And I'm like, World of Warcraft? And she's like, yeah, he makes spreadsheets and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, you make fun of me? Your brother makes World of Warcraft spreadsheets. Come on. So yeah, and maybe I'm not, maybe I shouldn't be making fun of anyone, but
no, the point is,
at the end of the day, the point is you everyone out there, you are an ambassador to gaming. Remember that. You are an ambassador to gaming and competitive gaming and esports. Tell people that you're involved. Let them know that there's prize money. Let them know about the camaraderie. Let them know about the sponsorship. Esports is only going to snowball. It's only going to get bigger. And that's kind of really it. That's the summary is that more and more people are going to know about this eventually. So you may as well let them know early days that you're involved.
Yeah, esports at the minute it's very young. So it's an opportunity for you. To be involved from the start, to create something that's going to be huge in the future, and already is to some extent. It's getting there right now. So play your part, and if you want to stay involved in esports, there's so many things going on. Because it's such a young, almost malleable industry, you can create your own opportunities out of it. So be proactive. If you love gaming, then show it. Be passionate about it. What else do you love, more than gaming in your life? It's rare that you can wake up and have a great passion for something. So when you do, adopt it and embrace it.
We're gonna move on to the next topic now, because it's been way more than 4 minutes yet again. I should maybe set something up to
the theme of Stopwatch. Yeah, doesn't quite make sense.
Oh well, whatever. Well, when Chris comes back, maybe next week, we'll stick to the format. We're gonna try to get edgier. Josh and I were discussing being a bit edgier and maybe talking about things that our partners, such as Glenn,
cool shot, sorry,
and Chris, wouldn't want us talking about. So tonight we'll probably be a bit more candid than we would be when Marsh is around, because he's like the dictator with the iron fist and a stick, and he hits us. Help! He hits me.
He doesn't have a roof over his head if he did that. So
yeah, he doesn't hit you. He just hits me.
But yeah, so score streaks in esports.
Yeah, score streaks in esports. I'll start this one off because I've given it a lot of thought, and I talked a lot to a lot of people back at the Call of Duty World Championships event in London. Now, if you go on to Cerdo, pretty much every post about kind of rule sets and so on is anti-score streaks. People don't really understand why they exist, and people want them to go away because it goes away from the classic gameplay that is Call of Duty, where it's map, 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 and individual maps means individual performances, and once that map is over, that individual performance cannot carry on. The other day, I was watching some MLG scrims, and Puckett made a very good point about score streaks, or actually, no, it was Golden Boy. Golden Boy was talking about teamwork and how teams are now starting to use their work in order to help individual players gain their score streaks, to the point where on things like Capture the Flag, a person will leave the hill, get a kill, and then instead of their teammate taking over the hill, the team will work together to make sure that same person can come in and pick up the extra points from re-entering the hill based on that kill. And that's the kind of stuff which, to me, shows why they're important. And it also brings up the kind of the argument that publishers like Activision, they're going to want to control the game settings and the competitive settings in particular now. We're seeing them kind of be a bit... They want a universal rule set, but they understand that the communities have worked very, very hard to kind of establish what will work best for the community. So that control is not going to always be there. So you're going to have to get used to things like kill streaks and score streaks.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
He's still speaking. No, sorry, I can see you speaking, but I thought I couldn't hear you, man. No, I fully agree, Mike. Look, like it or not, score streaks are now an integral part of the game. I think for anyone spectating, it does make it fast pace. I know this phrase thrown around a lot, but the meta game, it does improve it, and the meta game is important at the end of the day. And COD is so fast paced, and this is not being ignorant. I've played Black Ops 2, a fair bit, but I was going to say now, the influence that it has, because it's so fast paced, it's not as much, as it's not enough to spoil the game, I don't think. If you're playing well, you get your score streaks, but at the same time, it's not hard to be on the back foot and to still earn your score streaks as well. So it's a part of the game. I don't know how or if they're going to continue it, onto following Call of Duties, or if we're going to see this, score streaks or something similar be adopted into other games. But as Mike said, this is it's been thought out. This is the way it is. And also, on a side note to this, with regards to EGL and Deserto, we were not adopting score streaks for the purpose of increased viewership. We adopted score streaks in the rule set because that's how the Call of Duty community as a whole is moving forward with. And that's the best way to be able to attract new players or attract currently interested players. I've kind of jumbled up a little bit, but going off what you said, Mike, it's very true.
Well, it's kind of taking off what you just said there. Individual players, like very skilled individual Call of Duty players, don't always end up playing competitive games. There's people out there who are amazing, and it's things like score streaks which will attract them because it allows their individual performance to perhaps stand out more than it would in what surmounts to just 4 people trying to rush hills. By adding an element like score streaks, you make each map equally important, and it allows... Sure, it can make the gaps in games become way too big, and perhaps that can be fixed somehow, but ultimately, a team can be in a hole and be in a very bad position, but because they did very well on the map before, they perhaps have something that will basically be a game changer for them in their pocket, which, to me, just makes a game much better.
Yeah. You know what? I think it does actually increase the skill gap a little bit, to be honest, because Call of Duty, it's core level. It's so basic, point and shoot. a few nades, a few pieces of equipment that can change the game. Point and shoot, however, it can only go so far. It's just another element of strategy, that can differentiate one team from another. You got to think, you got to think about, will the other team have, it creates intelligent play. Is the other team going to have a score streak from the map before you, as you just said? Are we going to sacrifice are we going to sacrifice a death? Or are we going to stay alive for the point of of keeping the score streak up? I think that's awesome. I
Yeah.
think it brings in smart players get rewarded at the end of the day, and smart play on Call of Duty because of how fast paced and how easy it is to die. That doesn't always get rewarded, so it's just another element that I think works the game very well.
It rewards individual play, it rewards really, really solid teamwork, and it rewards great communication. Those are the three key elements to why score streaks belong in the game at the end of the day. And then on top of that, the layering, be it Activision, want to be a part of the community. They want to control how their game is presented, which is why they've made such a push towards kind of having live streaming involved in their games and having the caster functions. You look towards Halo. Halo is the exact opposite. Basically, what's happened is the community has been left to die. There's no kind of contact. There was so much hype to what Halo could be with Halo 4 from a competitive gaming standpoint. And now, you look at what's happening with Top Mid. They've been left to make their own rules.
Yeah.
Which is
to be fair,
which is good for them, but unfortunate for the title as a whole.
To be fair, apparently on Halo 4, 343, they produced like an advert on the game as you sign in, promoting the upcoming AGL event, or is it maybe AGL just got by? So 343, they are getting on board, with the esports community. I know that prior to the game's release, they did have some consultation from pro gamers, but at the same
time, we hear that all the time, though.
I know, but I don't even think pro gamers being involved is always a good thing, because I don't think pro gamers are very good at making video games. I think they're good at playing them, but when it comes to making games and understand, symmetrical maps, but that's a given. We don't have to go in and physically do it. As a pro gamer has to physically do that. We can advise on symmetry, and the reason some of the beforehand, the symmetrical maps, they were done without any pro gamer consultation. We can advise, and Hastra did, and Hastra I think did a very good job, with Activision. But at the same time, I think just simply throwing in, competitive gamers into a mix isn't necessarily the best idea. You got to keep things simple. That's the first message you've got to get across to developers. Keep things simple, customizable options, but make it, crossover to other aspects as well, crossover to other playlists, so that it involves everyone.
Well, it's basically it's back to the age-old argument about vanilla settings out the box.
Yeah.
That you need to keep, in order for a competitive game to ever reach kind of the maximum threshold, which we've never seen. StarCraft, 2 is huge. League of Legends is huge, but those games haven't even touched the base of the fanship that's possible out of those titles. They get huge viewership online, but ultimately there's a very small group of people who are actually going to be very good at those titles. So, which works well for the event promoters and so on, and when it comes to getting kind of storylines across via the streams and so on, which is a lot more difficult to do with a 4-player game where you're trying to, you've got the team, but you maybe should be focusing on an individual because that might tell the story about that team better. But we're in such early days of kind of Call of Duty and where it could possibly be, considering how big of a title it is.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary, because as soon as those rules become more and more vanilla, the larger the game's going to get. It might leave a lot of the guys who play now behind, but unfortunately that's just kind of the collateral damage that's going to be necessary in order for the communities to get even bigger.
Yeah, agreed.
That's that's it for that topic for me. Before we go to some questions and answers, start throwing some questions onto the chat and onto Twitter, and we'll answer them. I'm just going to give you kind of my final thoughts on what's happened with this whole Halo thing that we talked about last week. Now, Halo's now been announced at iSeries. We saw a poll that was put up on the topmid.eu website, which was based around an article that John Spen wrote, which was basically saying that we here at EGL need to pull our hands out of our butts or each other's butts and basically elevate what we offer the Halo community at their events, or our events, but they're their events at the end of the day. we see with Black Ops, we saw it explode. With Call of Duty, we saw it explode. They've got basically 2 stages now at an event. They take over the main stage, then they've got the mini stage. Now, the main stage is the main stage. We want to offer multiple titles on there, and as we explained last week, basically by not having a spectator mode in the game, it really puts us in a problematic position because we need to spend money on equipment in order to get all 8 point of views. The community came out and said, you know what, we're happy with 1 POV. So it'll be interesting to see what we can do with kind of Halo coming up into EGL 10. But at the same time, congratulations on getting iSeries to host a Halo event, because Halo needs more events. That's one way that's going to allow the game to grow, is to get more exposure. Now, I've commentated Halo at iSeries. I've been to kind of some of the endeavors of Halo at iSeries, and don't get me wrong, iSeries offer a very, very good event. You know, it's got many aspects to it, especially the summer event, which EGL are really striving to work towards, and we do look at them as kind of as setting the bar in some ways. But then there's other ways that we think that we've set the bar, especially when it comes to the actual esports and the competitive side of the events. Because when you've got 2,000 people sitting in a hall and 90% of them are actually just there to play World of Warcraft or League of Legends, that's not so great. And you know what we offer is basically a counterbalance to that, which is all competitive gamers. If you want to come and you want to watch and experience this side of it, then come to our event. We're trying to grow, you know, the other facets of what we offer, be it through sponsorship and sponsors actually being at the event. We have a lot of spectacular sponsors, but you know, like a lot of people at home, when the event's in Blackpool, they don't necessarily want to come up and bring a stand. So we're working on that kind of stuff, which in turn means that we're trying to, you know, with EGL 10, we're trying to move away from Blackpool, and we're still hunting for venues. You know, as we mentioned last week, it's really expensive to find a very solid venue, which I think what the community is kind of screaming for, because they're so expensive. But yeah, at the end of the day, congratulations to Halo and to iSeries for picking that up, because they really stepped up, and they've laid the gauntlet down for us. You know, we have to pull our hands out of our asses now. So, Josh, are you ready for it?
I'm ready, mate. I'll pull mine out of yours first, then.
Cool.
But yeah, basically, just going off what I said off that, I spoke. You know, I was on that podcast on Halo Hour with Johnston, Johnny, and dude, I don't want to say their names, I forget. But anyway, they were, you know, they really nice, really nice guys. The podcast, we addressed quite a few issues that were, you know, pulled out of Johnston's article. And really, you know, just going off what you said, it's about not taking the interaction with the Halo community for granted. It's it's such an important community for us. It was, you know, it was the beginning. You know, it was the biggest game at the start of EGL, and we want to make sure that it continues to be one of the biggest games, you know, in console esports. And that's exactly what we're going to do. You know, for many events, we've had to operate within our means, and you know, we always have to operate within our limits. But you know, as I said in the podcast, we're getting to a point now where we can look at expanding and adding to all games, not just, you know, Halo. In addition to that, actually, I'm going to link this to one of the questions, Mike, if you don't mind, about StarCraft. Well, on the subject of expanding on the front of all games, yes, we are going to look towards doing StarCraft, League of Legends, and other PC games, and we expect to be doing that by probably the last third of this year. PC for us is going to be, you know, we're going to do a massive campaign on it. It's going to be a huge part of the EGL, and we're really looking forward to it. The reason why we haven't done it yet is because we want to do it right. We want to do it when we had the right resources, you know, to be able to pull off the event of a quality, you know, that we want to do. So look out for, you know, for that with regards to PC gaming. But yeah, Halo, you know, as you said, Mike, we love Halo. May stay chatting for Halo next time, and by the end of the year, you know, if we can get the right support involved, then I don't see why we can't have a feature stage for Halo. But again, you know, it's going to involve more teams on the Halo front as well, so they're going to play their part at the same time.
Well, I mean, at EGL 7, I'd put plans in for a Halo feature stage, and it just came down to money, because I know that everyone loves to do like their own little bullshit math to how much it costs to run an event, but ultimately, none of the people who type these things out have any clue what they're talking about.
Absolutely, it's like they say.
And
It's
I'll
like we
be
don't.
honest with you, you're totally wrong if you think that we're running a huge profit and we're stealing your money. Because the reality is that there's so many things that we want to do which we just can't afford to do, be it through kit, through kit, and someone actually mentioned Kickstarter.
Reinvestment all the time.
Exactly, and someone mentioned Kickstarter, and I actually am a big fan of Kickstarter. I've supported many things on there. I'm waiting for my Pebble watch, which hopefully will arrive in the next 2 weeks. I've supported films, which is my background, film and television. I've supported not the frickin' bullshit that was, what's the guy from Scrubs?
Oh, damn! I know what you mean, the main guy from Scrubs.
Yeah, I
Can't
don't
remember.
watch it, so this is embarrassing.
I know he's.
I don't watch. I don't like the show. JD from no, is that was it? Yeah, the white guy.
His actor name.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's either the guy from Clueless or it's the other one. Thanks, Zach.
Zach Braff.
Zach Braff. There we go. Zach Braff. Ugh. Garden State is a great film. I love Garden State. Now he went on Kickstarter. He asked for a bunch of money. It was ridiculous because the guy makes millions for being in films and TV. It just doesn't make sense why people would support him. But he's made his goal and way beyond that, and great for him. We're not going to do that. We're not going to use something like Kickstarter because at the end of the day, we are trying to run a business, and that's our goal. And I know that there's businesses on there, and I know that a lot of businesses that put themselves on there are new, and they don't see anything wrong with it. But I just have trouble when we're asking players to pay 60 quid to come to our events, to then ask the community to give us a bit more money so that we can improve their experience, because surely we should be doing that with the £60, and we're operating within our means. And maybe if the community was to show that we should do something like a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo, then maybe we do it. But at the same time, I've seen so many of these type of events and businesses, be it teams. We just saw one of the League of Legends teams try to do a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo for funding to build a gaming house, which will probably fail miserably because A, the communities don't really support that kind of thing, and two, it's kind of pretty
Gaming house.
so, yeah, it's pretty kind of cheeky to go out and ask for money. But
fully agree.
you know, and yeah, Arms House monetizing viewership, which is in this ever-changing climate of broadcasters like Twitch.tv. We saw the demise of Owned, and then there's Daily Motion. There's a few other ones out there, and the competitiveness just isn't there right now. I think to to see a huge move away from Twitch, considering the ad rates and stuff that they offer are okay, but we could be doing a lot better, and that's the only way that we're going to get more money is to improve upon the broadcast and improve upon monetizing that side of the audience.
Yeah, it's gonna going off from that, but what we said earlier, the event, our events, it's going to be so much more reinvestment before our events get anywhere near where we want them to be. Even though we're improving event on event, what people see now, it's just a taste, of what to expect and what we're going to do, not just in terms of a live events, but in terms of production value as well. So, as Mike said, these profits that you guys, well, some of you, of course, are assuming that we make, keeping for ourselves and pocketing. No, it just definitely doesn't work like that. If we were doing that, then the events that we'd be giving you guys would be spectacular, and you'd be loving every you'd consider it to be probably the best event, esports event in the world. That's the only time where it'd be getting to